Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me and my very special guest. You know her from such musicals as Hair and Pippin, and she won every conceivable award, including the Tony, Grammy, and Emmy Award for her heartbreaking performance as Mom Heidi Hansen in the Tony Award-winning Best Musical, Dear Evan Hansen. Please welcome my friend, Rachel Bay Jones.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Richie.
I miss you so much in New York. You have
I
no
know.
idea.
It's so weird not to be there.
Yeah.
It's really, really weird.
First off, where are you all and how are you all?
We're good. We're fine. We're just fine. We're in LA. I had been going back and forth, shooting things, television things, and then sort of got stuck out here. Thought I was going to be back, in a couple of weeks, and we haven't been back. We haven't been back since March. So
wow. Okay, so
crazy.
Broadway shut down on March 12th. I mean, it seems like, this is our 162nd day of quarantine.
Oh my God.
It's such a wild number because, like I say to everybody, sometimes it feels like yesterday and sometimes it feels like a year ago.
Yeah.
How are you all dealing with it and handling this quarantine as it progresses?
We're sort of in this weird, perpetual sunshine moment, and it's hard to complain, but it's gorgeous here. Like the sky is blue every day. You wake up, the sky is blue, but it's only adding to that kind of Groundhog Day vibe, where like it's the same day as it was yesterday. There's absolutely no difference. I'm going to make a schedule for myself that has absolutely no meaning. And then you'll have the days where it all just falls apart and you're like, what's the point? Another day of blue sky, another day of, nothing to do or something. But it's a luxury to be bored, really, honestly. So I don't know. It's, we're doing the same as everybody else.
As everybody else
same as everybody else, just one day at a time.
So when Broadway shut down on March 12th, were you here then? Or were you already in LA or shooting something?
I flew back here March 10th. I had just finished shooting something actually in New York, and my daughter is going to school out here. And so, because I'd been here most of the time, and then flew back, I'd been going back and forth between like New York and LA and Austin, where I was shooting something there. And then was supposed to come back in days and then go to Austin for South by Southwest. A film that I did is premiering there, was supposed to premiere there, and came back here and left my cat in New York with a friend. And, so had no intention of being out here this long, obviously. And, then everything shut down, and it was funny because, it just feels so weird because I haven't been there. So I haven't seen the darkened theaters. I haven't seen evidence of anything, just pictures and hearing about it. But my mother, who was an actress for a long time and who is very, everything is Broadway. She loves Broadway. She's very wonderful and dramatic. And the pandemic was like, it's okay, we're fine. They live on Maui. And so they were a little bit untouched by it. But as soon as she heard that Broadway was shut down, it was unbelievable to her, just as it is to all of us.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that was what impacted me the most, was the reality of it sunk in when my mother called and was like weeping and devastated that she couldn't believe it. The enormity of the entire pandemic hit home for her when she knew that Broadway had shut down, because the show must go on. Nothing ever stops the show, So that's, that was my experience of it that way.
Yeah. What has amazed you the most and what has frustrated you the most during this pandemic and this quarantine?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a big question.
Well, let's see, we have an hour. Amazed me the most. I mean, I'm so amazed I'm amazed by humanity's response to this, obviously. I mean, we can get into the politics of it and the divisiveness, that has been literally killing everybody. But that has been amazing to me, honestly, in a negative way. And then, but amazing to me too has been the the outpouring of content and of people sharing themselves in this new way, for so many different reasons and through so many different motives, watching people come on and perform and share and talk and want to connect, and seeing us all suddenly so distanced from each other, but connecting in a way that's completely new and more. I'm kind of an introvert. I'm very much an introvert, and so I'm bad with telephone. I'm bad with video chat. I'm bad with texting. I'm bad with email. I'm happy to be by myself for the most part. I'm pretty good, but I've been like, talk to me to every one of my friends. I'm like, it's amazing. So I'm having conversations with people that I haven't spoken to in decades, or I'm having, as we all are, I think, it's like, just connecting with people has been a real gift in this way. Though it's made me just so much more desperate for hugs, I tell you.
I've been the same way, because I'm a big hugger and a big kisser
I
or whatever.
know.
But what's also amazing, the connection. I think it's just, we're so focused now. We're all A-type personality, especially working in the theater or whatever. And we're always worrying about next week. And, I think everyone is living in the moment, like you and I are right now, even though it's through a screen.
Yeah.
But this is the way to connect. And I think when this all does come back, I think it's going to be eye contact, eye to eye, and everyone just focusing on somebody they're with, as opposed to an iPhone or worrying about something else.
I know, it's true. And have you noticed, the few people that I've seen when we're wearing masks and you can't, it's really messing with me, as I'm sure all of it is, because we don't know. I'm like, all of my insecurities are coming up. I'm like, oh, they don't like me. They really don't like me. There's no recognition in the face of, I like you, I hate you, I'm mad about that comment that you just said, nothing. But I find myself so intently looking at people's eyes, like for signs, for clues. And there's this whole other level of communication that's going on, which I'm finding so fascinating. But I don't know. There's so much to say.
That first month was really weird, because I was like, I would walk by people and say, I know that person. Oh, I didn't say hello to them. And I'd back up. And now you're recognizing everybody with a mask on, but you're recognizing eyes. That's all you can really see. And I'm like, it's the new way to get into someone. I know you through your eyes.
It's the window to the soul. Let's see.
I want to ask you talked about politics for a second. With everything that's been going on, everyone has been using their voices in such an incredible way, and their talents, and so much has happened to our country, with people just finally speaking up, and for racial injustice and Black Lives Matter and everything. Would you just talk about how important this election is in November, and how important it is for people to register and vote, and how one voice can make a difference?
Well, we've seen that in so many oh my God, in so many ways. I do feel, and I think a lot of us feel this way, and I think probably I'm preaching to the choir here, that it's literally a life or death election. It's a life or death moment for our physical bodies, and it's a life or death moment for our democracy. We've seen so much evidence that this is really a turning point. So it's a crossroads. I think it really genuinely is, and it's up to us. I think what's exciting too is that I'm seeing so many young people rising up to this occasion, and I think it's so wonderful and so important, and it gives me so much hope, because the times in history when there has been that movement, massive change has occurred, and it does take that kind of energy. It does take that. It's a huge mountain we're moving, and it takes every person's muscles, and it can't happen with one person alone, which is really kind of beautiful, that we have to all be in this together. And it's like, it's funny, I just thought of it, but when I was young, my dad used to collect old cars, and we always had an old car, and our cars were always like these old Renaults, these old French cars, which were notoriously unreliable. And I grew up in Florida, and it was always 95 degrees with 100% humidity. So it was constantly breaking down on the side of the road with my dad. And whenever there was like, so I know how much it takes to push a car off the road. And there's absolutely, you know, when I was little, I'd be like, no, I'll do it, Dad, you know, and I would get behind the car and it was completely unmovable. But then when a couple of neighbors came out and my dad was there, I would help. And you could feel the moment when that one extra person just made the car move. And I feel like it's like that right now. The selection is like that. Everybody's hands need to be on this thing, pushing it forward.
So beautifully put. Thank you for that. You know,
thanks, Dad, for the old.
I love it. Well, you know, this coming Sunday night, August 23rd at 8 p.m., you will be live, and then a rebroadcast on Monday, August 24th at 3 p.m., doing your virtual concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series. What can fans expect, and how excited are you?
I'm always excited and a little bit nervous to perform with Seth because you just never know what's going to happen. There's no, you know, you can say, okay, we're having a rehearsal for this concert, and we've had a rehearsal, but Seth is he's so brilliant because he can play anything, he can sing anything, he knows everything by heart. He knows more about my career than I do. I don't remember things. And so he does. And he'll say, okay, let's sing something like this. Or like, you know, we should sing something from that show that you did. And I'm like, I don't remember that. I'll be like, oh, okay. And then for sure, what's going to happen is that he's going to spring something on me that I had no idea we were going to do. Or he'll ask for the second verse of something or that I won't know. And he'll be throwing lyrics at me. He'll laugh at me. I'll have to laugh at myself. So there's a lot of fun in that. And he makes you kind of go down roads that you're not expecting in an interview, which is fun. So there's that aspect of it. And then I think also too, I'm really excited just to sing again. I haven't been singing. Not even in the shower really, you know, which is a reliable, you know.
A reliable audience, your shower.
Audience. You know. But I haven't even been doing that. I don't know what that is. I think there's probably something psychological in that. But so I'll definitely be well rested. I don't know, you know, how it's all going to come out. But it's been a real joy just to even rehearse some songs for this because I forgot how much I love to sing. And I've been kind of keeping a low profile through all of this. I haven't been doing any online stuff and you know, a couple of things here and there, but so I'm a little nervous about that, but excited. I think, you know, it'll be a new way to connect with people. And
everybody who I've spoken to, everyone I've spoken to who's done this concert already said the best thing about this was just singing again. It would, you know, and the audience may not be in front of you to clap, but they're on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
So have you turned part of your house into, where are you going to do some? You have a studio
I think
set
I'm
up?
going to do it right here. I have my little living room. It's like, you know, a little sparsely decorated. I don't know. My daughter's going to, you know, she'll be like, let's put the books out so we can see the, you know, I don't know. But, but it's funny. I follow one of the few, like on social media, sometimes I get too stressed if all of the people that I look at are like in the business, especially now when I'm like 100% unemployed. Like, you know, it's too much. So I can't think about Broadway too much. I can't do it, you know. So I follow decorating people. I love like English country houses. And then on Twitter, one of my favorite things is this account that's like Room Raider or something like that. And it shows all of the rooms of all of these people on all of these Zoom things and live interviews because you're seeing everybody's house. And it's so great to see what people are doing. And like everybody's in a corner, you know, or everybody's got the book set up. Or like you've got, do you have all my posters up?
I got some of yours. I got your debut here. I got a few things that I pulled out. I'm going to be in St. Louis. I got a few things here. So
I got to decorate by Sunday, I guess.
No, you look great. So I was going to ask you about your daughter. Does she have the acting bug, Miranda? Does she have that?
I mean, I have tried so hard to pound it out of her. I don't know. You know, she's so good. She helps me with all my self-tapes and she's always cued me on my lines when I was rehearsing anything. And she sings with me and she's a beautiful voice. her dad is a singer too, and an incredible actor. And Yuri Rodriguez is a Venezuelan guy. And he, so we're like, she's got all the goods. And then but I think she's a little smarter than I am, or I hope that she's a little smarter than I am, and doesn't want to set herself up for a life of pain and disappointment and rejection. So that was a joke.
She has it. She has it. I think it's going to happen.
But I keep thinking, for a while we thought she was going to be an artist, because she's also an incredible painter and drawer, whatever you call it. And so I was like, do that. I want, a lifetime of free paintings. Like, do that. I will support you. You can live in the backbench. She's like, absolutely not. But lately the interest has sort of fallen away in the art, and then maybe she's been doing some voiceover auditioning, in my studio that I've got set up here, and she's really good at that too. So who knows?
It's happening. All right. The next time I talk to you, be like, she just got a film. She just got a TV series.
She's a little featured part in the film that I just did with John Leguizamo. It just got released. So if you watch it, it's available to stream in September. So in a couple of weeks. So if you watch it, look hard for Miranda.
Okay. I want to ask you, let's talk about that right away. I mean, he co-starred with you, and he directed the film. It's called Critical Thinking, right?
Yeah.
It comes out really soon in September. What was it like working with John, and I should say now working with your daughter?
He's fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fabulous. It was really exciting. There was a really great scene. I mean, there's a bunch of scenes, but especially one like really intense emotional scene that we got to do, and it was a thrill. He's alive. He's exactly the kind of actor you want to work with. Like, nothing is set in stone. Everything is fluid, and it's different every time. It was really exciting. And so he's that way as a director too. He trusts you. He trusts you to work with the script, not, despite it. And, it was a great script, but he really wants to have everything feel alive for you. And it was great. So, and it's a great story. It's a true story about a group of Latin and Black kids in this underprivileged school in Hialeah in Miami in the early 90s. And this one teacher who took what was essentially a glorified detention hall and made it into a chess elective. And these kids went all the way to the national championships. It was amazing. So it feels like it's like one of those great. I love these movies where they're just like that, like feel good hero movies about the underdog who wins the day, and it's got the high school element in there, and it's like a catharsis every time you watch these things. And I think, and for it to come out now is really special.
I can't wait. I read all about this movie, and I was like, I love feel good movies. I cry at them all. I have tissues. I love this. So I cannot wait. So for our audience watching, it's Critical Thinking. It comes out really soon. Yeah. There's also a contest connected to your Seth concert on Sunday. It is the Seth Sing-Off. Oh, yeah. Rachel Bay Jones edition. All anybody has to do is post a 1-minute cover of Kind of Woman from Pippin on Instagram with the hashtag Seth Sing-Off Rachel Edition for a chance to have your video shown during the live concert and win free tickets to the next 3 concerts of Seth. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's no joke. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the cutoff is sometime tonight, but for all the rules in the cutoff, go to the SethConcertSeries.com. But that's a fabulous addition to these concerts. I can't wait to see who sings Kind of Woman on your show.
Me too.
On Sunday. I want to go back to the beginning for a second. Growing up, I know.
Wait. Before we get to that, because I want to say something, because somebody on Twitter was like, oh, I wanted to do it, but I can't hit that note at the end, or, what should I do? And I was like, do an alternate note. So here's me saying, like, do it, whether you're, you think you're the perfect Catherine or you're not. I don't care. Like, sing the hell out of it, and sing a different note, sing it down the octave, sing it in a different key, sing it a cappella, do whatever. It's, just go do it. I can't wait to hear you guys.
No, because I read your tweet that you put out there, which was great, because I'll tell our audience watching, someone who did this, Stephanie J. Block, it wasn't your typical thing. She riffed in there, and he said it normally wouldn't be in there, but it was so incredible. She won.
Awesome.
So everybody make your own version of Kind of Woman. Like listen to Rachel, what she says. Do your version of this, because you never know what Seth is going to pick.
Yeah.
On
And
Sunday
you don't
night.
have to be a woman
Yeah.
either. I want to affirm that.
Oh, I'm going to
Okay.
enter then. I'm going to enter.
Do it.
Fabulous. Well, again, Rachel will be live this Sunday night, August 23rd at 8 p.m. and a replay on Monday, August 24th at 3 p.m. with Seth Rudetsky. The Seth Concert Series is produced by Mark Cortali and is sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World Events and at thesethconcertseries.com, and they are only $25. I've seen all of them. It's nothing, but I'm so going to be there. They're so great to watch you, like, because you say he throws all this strange stuff at the last minute, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to sing Rent in German, but you and I are going to talk about all this anyway.
Put that out there.
I know.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to the beginning. I started to talk about your parents. They were Shakespearean actors.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the Jan McArts Royal Palm Dinner Theater.
Oh my God. Yeah.
At Anniversary Waltz. Did you go for an audition with your mom?
I did. She was
Tell us,
auditioning this director down there who was like the director. He directed all of the shows down in South Florida. One of the big guys, big cheese. His name was Bob Bogdanoff, and my mother had worked with him in several of the dinner theater productions. She had been asked to audition for this show called Anniversary Waltz. It was going to be a play that they were doing there. And she had the script out at home, and I saw it. I was 12 or 12. It was a part for a 13-year-old girl. And I saw the script, and there's a lot more to the story, which I'm sure Seth will make me tell it. But I was really shy. I had no interest in being an actor, much like you're teasing me about my daughter, which is like, I'm really hoping the same thing doesn't happen. But I just popped out with like, oh, there's a part for me in this. I can play that part. And she, being the diva that she is, she was just like, yes, this is a great thing, so she sort of took that ball and ran with it. And it was pretty comical, but I went and auditioned with my mom, and she auditioned first, and then I auditioned afterward, and I got the part, and she did not. And that was a not great thing for our relationship going into my teenage years. But,
but I love it. And your Nana had made you some kind of quilted thing to wear, right?
Nana, she was a clothing maker and not a seamstress, but but she was amazing. It's an amazing seamstress. And so this part was supposed to be for a very heavy girl, and I was not enough. And so she decided that she was with my mom, so my mom probably wrangled this, but she made me like a pad, that like quilted padded fabric. She made me like a padded undersuit to go underneath like a blouse and a corduroy jumper, so that I would fill out a little bit when I went for the audition. So she sewed me a costume for my audition. And
your Nana was one of the biggest influences and heroines in your life, isn't she?
Yeah, she really was. Yeah, she's a super powerful, crazy, fabulous matriarch. She was it was a big family, and she took care of everybody. And she was this fiery redhead who, was fabulous and inappropriate and brilliant, and a brilliant businesswoman and all of those things. But she taught me some of the great lessons, whether or not I was ready to learn them. That was one of my favorite ones. I don't know if it's okay to say on Broadway World. But she's the woman who got divorced from her first husband. She always told me when I was too young to understand what the hell she was talking about, that she did it because he was no good in bed. That was what she divorced her first husband. So then she was quite a character. But one day when I was, probably around that same time, middle school, when you're going through that weird thing where you just don't feel like you're, everything's like the awkward phase, right? And I had tons of freckles. I was very freckly and fair. And she did too. She was redhead and just one big fucking freckle. Sorry. One big freckle. Just like, that was it. But sexy, even at 80, she was sexy. And so she had boyfriends. I mean, it was that kind of person. So I'll never forget it. I was sitting in her fabulous, she had a bedroom that was all like roses and ornate mirrors and carvings and things everywhere, and a round bed. She was so delicious. Anyway, I was like, Nana, I hate my freckles. I hate my freckles. And she turned around to me, and I'll never forget her silhouetted against the window in the Florida sunshine. She said, darling, one day you'll meet a man who'll kiss everyone. And I was like, I didn't know what, like I was 12, like, not really. I was like, okay. But something about when you're a kid and you're like, I don't really get it, but I understand the gravity of what it is that you're saying. And I feel that this will be important to me one day.
She took you to Lacage, right? She took you to your first Broadway
it was around
show,
the same time. She took me, my first Broadway show was Lacage of Fall at the Palace Theater. Yeah. She took me to New York for a wedding, for my family's wedding. And that was the one thing she knew I had to see.
And you were like checking out who the boys were in the show, right?
It's a fun mystery. Like, what's this? What is this world? But that was the bug. That was where the bug hit.
Yeah, see, my grandmother was like that too. My grandma was like Auntie Mame, very like, poochy dresses and flame red hair and always smelled lipstick and always done up. She was like a movie star to me. She was, and she'd be inappropriate sometimes, or she'd drink her scotch and say something. But like you said, I'd be like, I'll learn this life lesson that I'll use later in life.
Right, noting this. I'm putting this in the file.
And it all comes back, you realize like that's a Nanaism. That's a Nanaism. So she hits me all the time with those kind of things. I want to ask you about the William Inge play Picnic that happened for you at the Florida Atlantic University. You met some incredible people, including an actor who we all know really well.
Yeah, Mark Kudish. I was 15 years old. He'd already done a few plays with my dad, so I'd already known him, and then I got to do this play with him, and it actually was like, I mean, my school wouldn't let me out to. Was I 15, 16? I think it was 15 when I met him and like 16 when I did it. And my school, I was a terrible, terrible student. I do not advise this. This is a bad road to go down, everyone listening at home. But they wouldn't let me out to do the rehearsals because my grades weren't good enough. And so I made the brilliant decision of like, well, fine, then, screw you. I'm going to drop out of school and do a play. So I dropped out of school and went to rehearsals with Mark Kudish and did a play.
Oh my gosh.
It was great. We stayed good friends. We all moved, like a group of us moved to New York at the same time together. And it was pretty great. Yeah.
So did you all move together? And that's when you got your Broadway debut, of course, which was Meet Me in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, I want to ask you, so many people were supposed to make their Broadway debuts this spring, and then the pandemic hit and came. But I hope they all get to do it when the theater comes back bigger and better than ever. But you nailed your first audition, I think, in New York when you got Meet Me in St. Louis, which is sitting right behind me over here at the grocery. I love that musical. I mean, what do you remember about your debut in that big, beautiful musical with period costumes and wigs? And what do you remember?
So over the top. It was so over the top. I mean, it was, I didn't know it then, but it really was just the end of an era. It was and in a lot of ways it was good that it was like the end of that, because it was like super white. I mean, I look back at that now and I think, oh my God, it's just really bad. But at the same time, like, what were we thinking? I was the chorus girl. What were they thinking? But it we rehearsed I had like 13 auditions or 12 or 13 auditions for the thing.
Wow.
So I had just moved to New York. I was 19 years old, and 18, I think, when I started auditioning. And we had so many auditions. One ice skating audition because there was an ice skating number in the show, and it was huge. I think the cast was something like 40 people or something crazy like that. We all just had a reunion on Zoom early in the pandemic. It was really fun. But it was just, it was 1989. And a lot of the people in the cast are gone now. And during the AIDS epidemic, we lost a lot of people during that time. So it was that. But we rehearsed in these big, beautiful, old-fashioned studios that you see, the 890 studios for anybody who, and the stars in it were like, we had George Hearn and Milo O'Shea and Charlotte Moore and Betty Garrett. Yeah. And I made some great friends for life from that production, but it was just huge. We were all, they had fountains. Yeah. There was an ice skating rink, and it was at the Gershwin Theater, which is the huge, where Wicked is now. So it was just a cavernous, enormous space. And I remember that the walls were brown because Yul Brynner had done King and I there or something, and had insisted that all the walls be painted brown somehow. I'm not really sure what that was about. I wish somebody, do you know that story?
He wanted them. He knew he was going to be there for a long time, and he loved that color. Yeah, seriously.
I love brown. I just really want the walls to be brown. Like a chocolate brown. It was pretty brown. It was brown. Yeah. But it was kind of weird it was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, you land in New York from Florida, and it was like New York City, and it was still gritty, and Disney hadn't shown up yet to make Broadway clean. We were kicking crack vials down the street for fun, and it was nuts. So it was still all the porn theaters on 42nd Street, and it was. But I was 19. I was like, nothing can touch me. No one can hurt me. I'm 19. Yeah. I don't know. It's great. But it was also sobering because it was like I'd grown up in the theater, and my parents had been actors in the early 60s when it was like theater was important and the message was important. It was like this intense, and I think now the theater has come to that place again. Like we're kind of living in that place, and I'm interested to see after this pandemic, where we all go through that, because that was during the early days of the civil rights movement and all of that. So it was like theater was an important way to communicate. And here I was doing meet me in St. Louis, meet me at the fair. It was like, what's going on?
But what a way to come to Broadway, like in a big splashy musical. You're like, here you are. It's the way to do it.
And it's still that kind of show still just touches my heart. I mean, you can't help but smile when you see things like that. And Hello Dolly was like that when I saw it recently. It just reminded me of all of that old-fashioned musical thing.
Sure.
So
well, you toured a lot after that. I mean, you did Rent in German. You did Evita in Spanish. I have to ask you about Evita because I understand that you asked your director saying, "Oh, I'll play Evita in Spanish," and yet you never spoke Spanish?
Right. I had just done Rent in German, so I thought I can do anything. And he'd mentioned doing a dual language production, and I was like, "Ooh, I'll do that," and which is insane. And so we did. I did it in English and in Spanish, and just like I had done for Rent in German, think about it. It's like an opera, opera singers don't necessarily speak. Do they? Do they speak all those languages?
No, I think. Did you learn it phonetically?
Yeah. I'm like, they surely can't know more than one language. No. They give you you have a so there's a translation that you're working with, which is all in, another language that you don't know, if you're like me. And then they give you an English translation of the translation. So I had that. So I knew what the words meant when I, connected the dots between the two. So I knew what I was saying. I knew what everyone was saying back to me. I had to learn it phonetically. And I had my dear friend Dario Almiron, who's a Argentine fashion designer, actually, who was there working on the costumes. They kept him on as my pal and my dresser, and he spoke no English and I spoke no Spanish, and so we taught each other English and Spanish, but we fell in love instantly, just like when you see a friend and you're like, oh, you're my friend for life. So he thought it was hilarious that I was doing this, and he taught me how to be a glorified Latina. And I ended up meeting Miranda's dad in that production. And he had just come from Venezuela. He played Magaldi and then Che in the Spanish language production. And I'll never forget that for that reason, because I got my girl out of it.
Yeah. Did you have cheat sheets all around the stage at certain parts of Evita?
Well, that was the thing. It was, so we got up to the opening night and I had a total panic, because I'm not the calmest. I'm calm until I'm having a panic attack. And then it was like, and I'm pretty confident about my work on stage. I'm never really, I get panicky about auditions or talking to people, but not going out on stage. I realized opening night, the morning, I woke up in the morning in a cold sweat and I thought, I don't speak Spanish. What the hell am I going to do? And so I called the director and he said, okay, oh my God. And we got together with the stage manager and we pasted up all of my lyrics in Spanish all over the set, all over the theater. We had the lyrics in each wing or whatever. The Rainbow High lyrics were stage right, not stage right. I could quick look at them before I went out on stage. They weren't just written on my skin. They made me props made me a prayer card for the death scene so I could have my lyrics in a prayer card. At the Casa Rosada, when I was singing, No llores por mi Argentina, it was like written out on the balcony of the railing of the Casa Rosada.
So you're looking down.
Like, okay. Yeah, which was it was so stupid, because then there's no chance of doing anything organic. Now you can't live in that moment. You're in complete, how do I move my hand? Same arm, same leg walk, that kind of thing. So the next morning I was like, you just got to take it down. I gotta see if I know this. And I went out and I did. And it was a great lesson in trusting yourself, even when you don't feel like you can trust yourself. So it's one of the biggest lessons of my life, actually.
I love those. Now, listen, you got to work with director Diane Paulus twice on Broadway. You got to work first in Hair, and then, of course, your beautiful performance as Catherine. You and I have had this conversation before. I used to cry during your Catherine. I mean, that whole thing, in Pippin. What was it like? I mean, you originally turned down the audition for Catherine. You told Diane you weren't going to go in, right?
I wasn't. Because I thought they're crazy. When you just, which is so stupid, because I was in no position to be turning down major Broadway auditions. I mean, I'd been like an ensemble member and an understudy, and they wanted to see me for it, but I was 40, and I thought, when am I supposed to be the young ingenue, Pippin? They ended up hiring Matthew James Thomas. I think he was 24 when he played that part. So I was like, no, that's going to be embarrassing. Nobody needs to see that. And but luckily for me, they asked again and again enough that I thought, this is insane for me to turn down an audition. I might as well just see what I can do with it. And so, but it ended up being kind of great, because I could find my way into it in a way that felt more mature, and it gave the characters so much of a different life than it had before. So it's, she wasn't, I think she'd been originally written to be kind of a tool, and this, I think, brought a woman's perspective into the story, where it's not just about a young man journeying through life and deciding whether or not he wants the life of art or family. That it was very much, for me anyway, the perspective of the show was like, here's a woman who's been subjugated for however many years, that this Catherine has been playing this part, and here she has, she wants more. She wants to be seen. She wants to break out of this box that she's been put in for so long. And I think so many women understand what that feels like. So I could use all of that good stuff, all
Yeah.
that approaching midlife crisis good stuff in my ingenue.
Yeah, it was so right. I mean, no one had looked at her that way before. I mean, Diane's whole production of Pippin was absolutely brilliant from everybody. Everybody had a story. You could see everybody's story. I used to go back to Pippin like once a week. I used to go back and see that show.
Oh my God, Richie,
and I'd watch it through somebody else, but I always watched it through your eyes. And I was like, wow, I've seen all the Catherines before, but it was just so great to see what you brought to that. What are your favorite memories of doing both Hair and Pippin? Those were such incredible milestone, out of the box kind of shows. What are your favorite memories of both?
I loved Hair so much.
Yeah.
I mean, both of those shows I loved. They're probably my favorites, honestly. I'd always considered myself to be a bit of a hippie, you know, and to land at a show. And it's a show that I always wanted to do. I rarely wanted to do shows like, oh, that's my dream role. I didn't really have those. I just loved doing the work. But Hair was always something that I was the one that got away. And to be able to do it, I mean, grateful every second. And that cast was bonkers. And it was a thrill just to be part of that tribe. And, but some of the be-in and the protest songs and those kinds of things, like but I'll never forget at the top, you know, there were all these risers in the back of the stage, and the band was there. And I used to stand on top of an old truck, on the hood of an old truck that was on the set. And behind me was the drummer, this great old guy. I think he played like the original production. Yeah. And the show curtain would come up, you know, for this, like, you know, when the moon is in the seventh house. And it was just like it was like a dream. This beautiful Aquarius curtain would come up, and I was there in my hippie gown, and my hair was down right here, and it was like, and I didn't have to wear any makeup because it was hair. It was a hippie, you know. It was like, it was so great. And jumping, like when we would like run forward to the audience with our arms outstretched, just the feeling of jumping off of that truck, which I could never do now because of my knees, but jumping off of that truck and like running toward the audience with my hands outstretched, just like embodied everything that I feel about the world and theater, and just running out to you like, hi, I love you. Like, that was just everything. And so every day it was a thrill to be able to do that. There were so many gorgeous moments. And that was, I don't even remember what you asked anymore.
Same thing. And show. Pippin, I mean, what did you take away from Pippin too? Again, these are both such free shows. Like you said, you were free as a performer. We were free as an audience, just to take this incredible journey of like being free of watching a show like Hair. And the same thing with Pippin. Favorite memories of Pippin for you are what?
Definitely singing Love Song with Matthew James Thomas. He's just so delicious. Not just because he's so delicious in that way, but also because he's a dear, dear friend. And the communion with him, he's that kind of actor too. As I was saying before about John, that Matthew is completely alive. He would never let me check out for even a second. He would just stand there and look at me, like during any of the scenes. He would just be like, really, you know, he'd like, really, you're going to check out on me right now? Are you going to do the same thing that you did yesterday? Because that's not going to fly here. We're two different people today, so you better come up with something different, you know. And it's what I believe, but he was like a policeman. He would not let me, you know, get away with it. So he was just right away. And it was a great meeting of artistic minds. It was fabulous. And then also too, but even more than that, the way that the whole show within a show concept allowed me to, what I believed about this Catherine is that this actress who's been playing this part, who's been put in this box, just wants to be seen by the audience. And the audience over time, since she doesn't have any friends, the audience is her friend. And it's this idea that I think we have about audiences as performers, is that they're this unnamed entity, and it's the same. Like, they're different every night, but it's almost like they are the audience. It's a person, you know. And so the way that each audience was just, it was always, everything that I did on stage was with a side look to you to be like, look what I just did, you know, do you like that? Or how do you feel about that? So it was all about that communication with the audience. It was perfect. It was everything that I think we as performers want, to be able to have that freedom to live in the moment with you guys out there.
Yeah.
It's great.
Do you have a reunion tonight with Pippin?
Is that happening tomorrow? Maybe tomorrow.
Is it
I hope
tomorrow?
it's not tonight.
Wait, I saw it earlier. You may have to check. It's either tonight or tomorrow. You got stars in the house with Seth and James.
Okay, good. He asked me if I wanted to do that. I was like, yeah, that's great. He said Charlotte and Andrea are in. I don't know if he's gotten more people. I don't know. Is it happening? Okay,
Terrence,
good.
Yes, it is. So it's either tonight or tomorrow. So check your calendar. But I'm going to be there. But I'm like, she's got a Pippin reunion coming up. So, you know, I
can't wait.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Terry are like some of my best friends out of that production.
I just love how that's the best thing about the theater when you work. You create these families so quick, but they become your family forever.
Yeah.
You know, moving into your next family, I mean, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, I mean, you met the boys. I love these two. I mean, when you were doing the pre-Broadway of their musical A Christmas Story, that's when we first fell in love with them too. They are the nicest kids. They're the nicest guys in the world. Did you know, then of course you did Dear Evan Hansen with them, but did you know right away how special they were going to be when you met them on A Christmas Story?
Of course, I love them so much, and they, you know, they were so young, but the show was just fabulous and hysterical, and I loved doing it, and I loved the role, and I loved everything about it, and I loved the songs that they gave me, but I was a fan. I would sit out and watch everything and just cackle and thrill at it. It was great.
Because tell everybody who you played in Christmas Story.
I played the mom.
Love it, the mom.
Yeah.
And they brought you to Dear Evan Hansen. Didn't they bring you to that first table reading? It was because of them?
I'm pretty sure that's how that happened. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how that happened. They've been so great about bringing me along. Yeah.
All right, so we have to get into Dear Evan Hansen. I mean, you won every conceivable award. I was lucky enough to have seen you out of town in Dear Evan Hansen, and then, of course, off-Broadway in Dear Evan Hansen, and then Broadway. What a heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, warts and all, incredible performance. You know, I've spoken to many actors here when there's the perfect melding of material and performer. When that thing just happens. It's happened a lot to you in your career, but this was really special for you, wasn't it? This role of Heidi in this show. Tell me what this role in this show means to you, Rachel.
Well, I think, you know, when that happens, it's because of it happens a lot because of process. You know, when you're given an opportunity to contribute, then that melding can happen. If somebody tries to shoehorn you into a box that they've decided is going to be the way that this is, and that doesn't work out as well for actors. But this took time, and I was involved with the process of the development of this character, and she was written around me, you know, so it was really I mean, you know, my DNA lives in her. It's that simple.
You know, because it's Benj and Justin, it's Stephen Levinson, the brilliant book writer, and then it's Michael Greif. I mean, everything he does is organic. And the fascinating thing about Michael is you got to do Next to Normal in Washington, and I was at the rehearsal for that. I think one of the times I spoke to you and all, and he let you bring your own version of that, which I think is fascinating. Like you said, he doesn't put people in a box.
Yeah, he's really good about that.
You know, but even when a show that's already together, you can then go into it and make the whole thing your own. It's like starting from scratch. You have the blueprints. And so how brilliant is it working with Michael Greif?
Oh, it's fabulous because he doesn't, I mean, you can always find, no matter how small the box is, that's my belief. I mean, sometimes it's this big and you're like, okay, where's my spot in here? What can I play with? But he's really good about giving you as much freedom as is possible. I mean, the box is the box and there's constraints no matter what your production is, but, and we had a short time to put this together, and but he was, you know, I mean, it's, to be fair, when someone has done like it'll forever be Alice's role because she she made the thing, you know, she made the thing. And then you can say, you're halfway there. You're halfway there in some way. But then you can also say, this is not Alice's performance. This has to be mine. And so what lives in me that connects with this? What lives in, you know, what do I want to say through this? You know, you always have to kind of look at things that way. Like, what do I need out of this moment? What do I want to share out of this moment? What is this for me? So if as long as you approach it that way, it's gonna be different. And Michael is really good. I mean, really good about letting you do that. He will fight you. Yeah. He will, if he does not agree, he will be like, I do not agree, but he will let me try it. And then he'll say, that didn't translate. Try it this way. And I remember for Dear Evan Hansen, we had many moments like that. He writes these little notes on these little white notepads, and anybody who's ever worked with Michael Greif is like we all save our notes, our stack of notes, and we'll like show each other the stack, like how many inches is yours, how many inches is mine. But he would come in every day with the same note, like, try this, and he would give me the little piece of paper, and then he'd be like, let's see if you can try it this way today. And I'd be like, thank you very much. You know, no, I don't agree with you. And he was so indulgent with me, because I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, you know. But I was determined to try something that I knew was going to work. And I'll never forget it. We were like months in of him every day coming with this piece of paper with the same note. And I just wouldn't try it for some reason. I was such an asshole. I'm sorry. But he one day I was on stage with Ben, and it was like I did something different leading up to it. And then I came to that moment where I knew every night what Michael wanted me to do. And I realized what he was trying to get at. Like, it just happened on stage, and I was like, oh. And I did it. And it changed everything. Like, the whole scene felt different. It landed in a much better way. And so that's the perfect Michael Greif thing. Like, he'll be patient with you until you until you come around to the way that he knew it should have been all along. You know, he's very much like,
oh, I love it.
It's great.
What a dynamite cast. Everybody, Ben Platt, everyone, Jennifer, Michael, everybody, everybody. Yeah. Another incredible family you're very close to, right?
Yeah. With Jen and I talk still. We were talking every day. Now we're like down to a couple of 3 times a week. But, you know, we always send silly pictures to each other and check in. You know, she's my good bud.
You know, we have actors watching this all around
and Mike
the world.
Feist and I did a series together, which will hopefully be released. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Which one? Which series?
It's called Panic on Amazon.
All right. So so you already shot that already, right?
Yeah, I think they had some things to shoot, which I don't know if they kind of got shut down the last month. So we'll see what's going to happen with it. But
you know, I wanted to ask you, we have actors all around the world of every age, of every diversity, of people young who've been in the business, left the business, come back. I love your career, because I'm sure when, you know, I had Andrew Reynolds on once, and Andrew said, Richard, people don't always understand. They just look at all the highlights, and no one understands the in-between. And I never realized until I spoke to him live in front of my SAG-AFTRA Foundation series, he was like, we go through the same things everybody else does. I don't care at any point in your career. You always feel you're still working for another job, or saying, should I still be doing this?
Yeah.
And what I love about your career is you came to New York, you landed Meet Me in St. Louis, a huge splashy Broadway musical, your first audition. It's like, wow, this is how it works. And then you don't work for a while. Yeah. It's like, then you left, then you came back to New York, you gave another shot, then it didn't work, or you went somewhere else. What always made you come back and stick through this? I know it's probably a big...
I mean, the funny version is like, I don't know how to do anything else. I dropped out of high school to do it. So like, you know, this beats working at a vet clinic. But you know, the truth is that there's, you know, I'm a smart woman. There's plenty of things that I did do and could have done and could have been happy doing, you know, but there's a need in me to this is how, when you talk about everybody using their voice right now and everybody using their power, and this is the way that I know how to do it. This is the way. So this is the way that I feel like it's my obligation. I don't know. I don't want to be so full of ego that I'm like, it's up to me to give the world some part of myself. But it is, that's what gives us purpose. And I have to believe that that's what we're here for, is to share who we are and to remind people that we're all connected in that way. Yeah. And so the idea of this and of performing, of communicating this way, being part of some higher purpose, has always been the thing that brought me back to it. And the fear was what kept me away from it. So it was just always about battling that fear, and sticking through that. And I think honestly, the thing that finally snapped me out of my avoidance of it was having my daughter, and just realizing like, okay, when you suddenly have to look at yourself through the eyes of another person who's going to view you as some kind of a role model. And I did not feel like a role model. And I just thought, what kind of woman do I want to be? And what kind of person do I want her to see when she has to decide who she wants to be, And I said, is it going to be somebody who runs away from shit all the time? Or is it going to be somebody who's like, I'm going to keep going, So it took a while. It wasn't like, and now I'm a star. It was like, no, then there was like 6 years of unemployment after that. And, but it was tough, but it's, and there's still tough days. It's not like, oh, you win a Tony Award, it's all great. Totally not like that at all. And, it's just, you just have to keep, it's the same story all the time. Every day we wake up and we have the same battles to fight our whole lives, but it's worth it.
I thank you for being so honest. We're just about out of time. I cannot believe this. We are just about out of time. But you work on television and film now. I mean, tell me about, quickly, Julia Roberts, Ben is Back. Fabulous movie. What was it like working with her in that group?
Oh, she's so good. Yeah. She's really, really great.
That was like one of your first movies, right?
Yeah, it was Peter Hedges, and there's really beautiful intimate scenes, and that was just the two of us, and he, it was a really intimate set, and I'll just never forget being there with, it felt like just the three of us and a small crew, and we were all just very emotional. It was a really emotional moment, and it was a beautiful, beautiful time. So she's a really special person too.
Yeah. And then you got to do Modern Family. I mean, everybody wants to do Modern Family and be with that crazy bunch. How much fun was that?
It was so great. It's so great. And it's because, it's musical theater. Jeff Greenberg, the casting director, he was like, he knew me from Pippin. And so, it was like, thank God for musical theater, or I would never have been on Modern Family. Yeah, obviously. But, it's really fun to have all that connection, and God, what a great fun set that was.
Yeah. And then God Friended Me, another hilarious just comedy drama that you're sort of working on. Was that a lot of fun to do too?
It was a hopeful show. It was really, it was admirable how they really wanted everything to be so positive, and they had a really, the way we feel about New York was the way the show looked, and I really loved that about it. It's really nice.
I have to give you a big shout out to your album. I love your solo debut album, Show
Richie, you're so sweet to me.
Well, listen,
Thank you.
I listen to all this stuff. I mean, it's like, you and I go back a long time. I mean, I remember seeing you that first time. I think I met you during Hair. But I saw you in all these shows, but it's like, and I miss you being my neighbor here in New York, but it's like.
I miss it too.
But before we go, everybody, once again, Rachel will be live this Sunday night, August 23rd at 8 p.m. and a replay on Monday, August 24th at 3 p.m. with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series. It's produced by Mark Cortali and is sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World Events and at the SethConcertSeries.com. Tickets are only $25, and you have to enter the contest. You can also enter. Kind of Woman. You have to, I think, the end of tonight or whatever, go to Seth's website, find out about the cutoff, sing for the world to watch. Listen, Love to Benham, love to Miranda. You got the dogs out there too with you, right?
Yeah, I'm sad they didn't make an appearance.
Did you fly them out? Did you drive them out?
Oh, Benham drove them out. He drove them out in the car. So I would get all of these pictures across country of like Pigeon hanging out the window with Joshua Tree in the background, Pigeon hanging out the window with like, Minneapolis, I don't know, wherever. It was really cute. It was cute.
Well, that's another reality series, Benham on the Road.
Yeah. Sad I missed that one.
Have a fabulous time this weekend doing the concert. We're all going to be there.
Thanks.
Everybody, thank you for watching. Tune in to Rachel's concert this Sunday or Monday for the replay. And we'll see you all when the theater is back, bigger and better than ever. Everybody stay safe. Rachel, I adore you.
Stay safe,
Take care of my love.
Thank you. Love you, Richie.
Love
Bye,
you.
everybody.